The Antonio Gutterres file. This man is not fit for the job and the position he is holding now. The man, who is ignorant about the very purpose, the same purpose for which United Nation was formed and stood for,
will depend finally upon the vigilance and sovereign will of the peoples of the world. Machinery to end war, a curse which in 30 years had killed 40 million human beings. This machinery was not designed without disagreement and dispute, but the final blueprint had the unanimous approval of the participating delegates.
Under his watch. Terrorist organization now making UN policies. UN facilities are used by the terrorist. Member states' objectives are compromised for the terrorist agendas. In Gaza, what a shame to see that. Humanitarian aid centers are converted into terrorist camps. Humanitarian food assistance is looted by terrorists, and this man in Secretary General office cannot do nothing. He hesitated to speak about terrorism till 1 year from October 7, 2023. It took 1 year for him to even condemn the act of terrorism.
Today marks 1 year since the horrific events of October 7th, when Hamas launched a large-scale terror attack in Israel, killing over 1,250 Israelis and foreign nationals, including.
He does not have the courage to take responsibility for terrorists using the UN facility. Missiles and other projectiles are fired from the UN facilities. And he sat idle. A sovereign state, which has all the right to determine and defend itself, are criticized by this man. It seems that the UN has changed the policy, and its members now mainly belongs to the terrorist organizations. Now, UN policies are very friendly to terrorism. Whether it is Hamas, Hezbollah, or Houthis. The United Nations, as the international institution, has lost all its relevance by each statement made by this irresponsible man. He is not fit to hold the position anymore, even though he has the UN diplomatic immunity. Morally he will be considered as the person responsible for the dissolution of United Nations. This is not a propaganda. Rather, it questions the right of every UN member state to exist and survive. To exist and survive with peace, cohabitation and coexistence. Not with fear and conflict. Not with compromises forced by the terrorist. In his tenure, the world has seen 2 terrible wars, and he used his position to support terrorists. If United Nations want to save the Palestinians, the resolution shall be passed to occupy the Gaza with peacekeeping force. UN peacekeeping force shall be used, and ensure that all the Hamas terrorists be handed over to the Israel. Such bold decisions were not taken. Gutterres should have compelled Security Council to deploy peacekeeping force immediately after October 7, 2023. If taken, could have saved nearly 50,000 innocent lives. Unfortunately, United Nations facilitated to spread war to residential areas. Thus, for the death of 50,000 Gaza people, and injuring 100,000. United Nations is directly responsible. Under the United Nations watch, Hamas built Gaza Metro. Under United Nations watch, Hamas used hospitals, schools, and UN facilities. Under United Nations watch, Hamas holds victims kidnapped, raped, and murdered. Under United Nations watch, Hamas violated all human right and humanitarian law. War is not a crisis. But undoubtedly Hamas, Hezbollah and Houthi are the crisis of Middle East. Gutterres has not criticized Iran for its proxy war. Gutterres has not criticized Yemen for its proxy war. Gutterres has not criticized Lebanon for its proxy war. Gutterres has not criticized Lebanon for allowing terrorist organization like Hezbollah for the terrorist activities. Gutterres has not criticized Houthis or Yemen for the escalation of war and interference to international trade. UN has failed miserably. Gutterres made UN to fail. Gutterres is guilty for allowing terrorist organization for kidnapping, violence, terrorism, loot, and engagement of war with a sovereign member state of United Nations. By allowing the terrorist to use the facility of United Nations, Gutterres is morally guilty. Gutterres should have concentrated more on criticizing Iran, Lebanon and Yemen in their proxy support for Hamas, and thus should have protected the world from war. Terrorism is a cancer to humanity, and United Nations has facilitated this cancer to spread and flourish in the Middle East. Resign the job and protect the integrity of United Nations, or face the inevitable. United Nations will be dissolved in the near future. At last, Gutterres realized the blunder he has made, and came up with this idea of
Today
condemning
marks
October
1 year
7th.
since the horrific events of October 7th, when Hamas launched a large-scale terror attack in Israel, killing over 1,250 Israelis and foreign nationals, including children and women. More than 250 people were abducted and taken to Gaza, including many women and children. The October 7th attack scarred souls, and
What
on
a
this
shame.
day, we remember all those who were
What a
brutally
shame.
killed and suffered unspeakable violence,
What a
including
shame.
sexual violence, as
What
they
a
were
shame.
simply living their lives.